this bait is illegal. Or is it? Welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the best baits from fall to winter to use. This right here, you may have heard of it before. It's called an A-rig, an umbrella rig, an Alabama rig. They may or may not be illegal. They may or may not can get you put in jail. They may or may not get you a big old fine. But there are ways to make them legal. In this video, I'm going to show you not only how to make these legal, but also how to fish them, where to fish them, and what types of retrieves to fish them with, and the setup you need to fish these with. Let's get into it. So the A-rig, it can come in all different shapes and sizes. It can have big sizes and smaller sizes, bigger 5 wires and smaller 5 wires. Now, depending on what state you live in, it can be legal. Let's just get this straight. This bait is not illegal itself, depending on where you fish. If you fish in, say, Minnesota, you can only have 1 hook per bait. So this 5 hook bait right here, as you can see, is very totally illegal and it could end up you in jail. But here in Texas, you can have up to 30 hooks, okay, on an A-rig. But something like Tennessee, you can only have 3 hooks. This is where this comes in. This is called the Hog Farmer Mop Rig. It still has 5 wires, but 2 of the wires, instead of having baits on them, they have blades, kind of like dummy baits, kind of. And they have 2 little split, like three spots right here, 2 on the outside and 1 in the middle, where you can put baits. Now, there's also ones where you have like dummy baits right here with like little screw things right here instead of blades. I don't have that because in Texas you can throw 5 wires, and why would I want to lessen my opportunity of catching fish when I can just use 5 wires? I don't know, but I don't have it. I may get one day just to kind of, if I go to like Tennessee or something in the winter time, I can fish with one of these. But okay, we're done talking about the legal stuff. So pretty much figure it out. In Minnesota, I know you can only have 1 hook. In Tennessee, I know you can only have 3 hooks. In Texas, you can have 5. Now, you have to really make sure your state regulations say something. Like, you go on their state fisheries website and see how many freshwater hooks you can have on per line. In Texas, you can have up to 30. So, you can have about 6 more of these A-rigs attached to each other, and that'll be still legal. So, yeah. But make sure you have legal. Make sure it's legal, because these can end up, because they're so effective, like they have been banned from tournaments. That's how effective they are. This is a banned lure, okay? This has been banned from the Bassmaster, the FLWs, and the MLF series. So all the major tournament shows in the US, this bait is banned from. Okay, now let's talk about what is an A-rig and how does it make it special. Well, an A-rig, it has a head right here, and it has a line tied, okay? But coming out of that head, it has usually 5 wires, depending on which one you get. Now, the wire may or may not have a hook, but we're just going off this example for now. So, A-rigs can have blades and cannot have blades. Some more finessey A-rigs don't have blades, but I just prefer blades because I catch big bass on blades, and where I fish is not really very pressured, so I can use blades and still catch bass. So, we're coming down the bait. We have 5 wires coming out. Every single one has a blade on it except the middle. Now, that doesn't always have to happen. Like this A-rig right here, it has a blade on the middle one right there. So it doesn't matter where the blades are, but usually, this is like standard A-rig. Standard A-rig has 4 blades on it, usually in a smaller size, so the bass don't get drawn in to the blades itself. And then it has some like little stopper things and a little swivel thingy McBopper right here to hold the blade in place, connect to a swivel, a split ring, and then the blade itself. And then if you move down the wire here, you have a split ring into a snap, and you snap your hook on right there. Now, good A-rigs are made of strong wire. This is a $30 A-rig, and this is a $15 A-rig. Now, I don't know if y'all can see the difference in between the blade here, not the blade, the wire. On the bottom is the more expensive A-rig, and on the top is the cheaper A-rig. And you can kind of see the thickness in the wires, thicker on the bottom than on the top. So, thicker A-rig, stronger, thicker wires are a more expensive A-rig. So you want an A-rig that can last, get a more expensive A-rig because it will last as long as you don't snag it. And A-rigs are notorious for snagging it no matter how you rig it. Except there is one trick you can to make these absolutely weedless that we will talk later in the video. Okay, why is this A-rig so effective that it has gotten banned from tournaments? Basically, what this A-rig mimics is a school of shad. And I'm actually going to rig one up just to show y'all. So I rigged this A-rig up. You can kind of get the idea what it looks like. It looks like pretty much a ball of shad. That's why it's so effective. And there's multiple presentations. There's blades, there's minnows, shad themselves. And this bait is super good. Like, I'm talking top of the line. There's not a better shad school bait than this right here, especially in the winter and fall time. This legit mimics what it is. And there's multiple, like, okay, a spinner bait, you know, a minnow, you know, like a jerk bait. Mimics one bait fish, but this mimics like 5, 6 bait fish at one time. Makes it really realistic, and it has a drawing power because of how large it is and everything. So right here, I rigged it up here. These are just some weedless hooks, and I'll get into this why later in the video. But right here, we just got a 3.5 inch swimmer on a low, 3-aught low hook right there. Really, really effective. This bait is right here. You can cover water with it. You can burn it, but you can burn it top across the surface. You can slow drag it across the bottom if you want to. You can straight reel it nice and steady off the middle of the column. But the best way that I think you can retrieve these baits right there is that you cast it out, okay, and you let it sink middle column-ish. I like middle column a lot because top, middle's my favorite. Because the reason I like the middle column the best, because the bass, I like the top or middle part of the column. Not the top, but if the bottom is about right here, and the middle is about right here, I like it about right there, and the top is about right there. So not the very top, just kind of in the middle, between the middle and the top. Because the shad are at the top, and the bass are in the middle. So if you get in between the shad and the bass, you have a lot more likability of running into bass that are feeding on shad and drawing them away from the shad because they're farther away, and drawing them into your A-rig that is closer to them. And another way you can get them on the retrieve a lot is if you do a reel bump in between. So what do I mean by that? So basically, you have your reel right here. So you cast it out there, you let it sink a little bit, and then you reel it in nice and slow. You pop, pop. Reel down a little some more. Pop, pop, and let it sink a little bit, and then just keep reeling. Pop, pop. What that basically is doing is compressing the A-rig. Like, it's not compressing it that much, but like I'm gonna do it with one here. So it's compressing the A-rig and then opening it back up. So what that is simulating is when it compresses the A-rig and the A-rig pops back open. That is basically simulating a school of shad that are fleeing from a school of bass. Because when shads flee, they get real close together and then spread back out and run. That's what shad do when they try to leave. That's what this is simulating. When you pop it, it compresses and expands, and you reel quick. You'll let it fall because the shad are going all different directions. So I pop. So I pop, pop, let it fall, and then start reeling. That's gonna trigger a lot of bass just on that. I've caught a lot of bass doing that same retrieve. Like, I catch a lot of bass straight reeling it, but there is sometimes that I catch bass doing the pause, and that's just extra bass getting in that may have not wanted to eat the A-rig before, that got a reaction type strike out of it and wanted to eat it now. Okay, and let's talk about the setup for an A-rig. It's pretty decent, not really strange or anything. What I like is I like a pretty beefy reel, bait casting reel. This is actually the 13 Fishing's Compact Sea Slide. I don't think they make it anymore. It's a really good big bait reel because this reel has a 22-pound drag, and it's overall built really well, and it can cast pretty well. It's a pretty expensive reel too. Another good one is the Shimano DC200. It's basically like bigger reels. I like more for A-rigs. And my favorite rod that I like for A-rigs is this right here. It's actually a 7.4 heavy fast rod from Odenheimer. It says heavy fast, but it's not really heavy fast. It's more like a heavy moderate fast. It has a pretty good load into it. But I really like this rod. It's pretty light. It can sling it well. I just got this back from Odenheimer, and as I fixed it, it took a little while to get it fixed, but I got it back and it is ready to stink and roll. So yeah, I paired this up with the 13 fishing rod. It's pretty good. Whaled on some bass, so next time I go to the lake. And then what line do I like? A lot of people, they say I like braid to leader. I do, and I throw it sometimes. But I have kind of getting into right here. 17-pound fluoro to 20-pound fluoro. I mean, like, if I'm throwing a smaller A-rig, something like the Flash, like the Mini. This is a tactical Mini from Hog Farm, like the Mini A-rig, the Mini Flex. I throw more of the 17. If I get into like something like the more of the Mop rig or the 6-inch Divine A-rig, I'll throw something more like the 20, just because it's bigger and needs a little bit more oomph, and I don't want to fly it off my line either. But I mean, two really good fluorocarbon lines. I like fluorocarbon well because I don't really know. Braid to leader, I like braid to leader more to short distance, like jigs, flipping and pitching and that type stuff. Fluorocarbon I like more for just casting because it's smoother. But like I like straight braid too. It's pretty good like for frogging. I don't love leaders a lot, only on spinning reels. So I don't know why, it's just a kind of personal preference, but I like fluorocarbon a lot for A-rigs. So in the earlier part of the fall, which is probably already past for you, it's probably still right now for the down here in the south, you want to throw more your smaller swim baits. Like this is a 3.5-inch electric shad. This is a 3.5-inch swammer from Exxon, an electric shad. Just pretty much like a smaller one. Now, as time goes on and it gets more into the winter time, you can throw more stuff like this. It's a saucy swim, about 4.8-inch size. I like to throw this just to draw bigger bites out. You get bigger bites, bigger bass, bigger YouTube videos. So yeah, I like these a lot if I'm going weedless. I like these a lot if I'm going weedless. But if I'm going straight jig hook, I like something along the lines of this bad boy right there. Live Ops. It's called the Spectro Minnow. I don't know. I just saw this one. It looks pretty good. But like I don't want to throw this on a weedless hook. I'd throw it on a jig head. But it's pretty good too. Because the bass are eating smaller bait fish in the earlier part of the fall, I'll throw something a little smaller. But I'll still throw the bigger ones just to get bigger bites. Just kind of depending on what the shad are eating, depending on the paddle toast I'll throw. I'll usually rig the A-rig weedless if I can. Sometimes I'll rig the jig hook or not. Just kind of really what depends what I'm feeling that day. And then let's talk about the last kind of tip. So if your lake has a bunch of timber in it, like say you're fishing Lake Fork, and you've already lost about $300 worth of A-rigs. I have lost probably around $300 worth of A-rigs. Look, get this tactic right there. This works really well in the wintertime when they're not like schooling and busting on bait and stuff like that. When they're actually busting on bait, you want to throw like an exposed one, because when they're busting on bait, they're more like willing just to swipe at it. These weedless ones won't catch them as well, but in the wintertime, just slow rolling this in the bottom, it will catch them. It will catch them. Trust me. This will catch them. It will. Trust in the force, young one. It will catch them because last winter, actually, it's the last time I fished with a weedless A-rig. And I was fishing on a point where I was just slow, where it was a bunch of timber on this bottom, bunch of timber. I was casting the lead in the bottom of the slow roller and just slapping 6-7 pounders on this thing and rolling it right through the wood without a stinking problem. Only time it would get hung up is when like a T or a V in the wood, and then this bait would just get kind of stuck like that. You just go on the other side and pull it right out. But that's really the only time it would get stuck in the wood. And I ended up throwing it in the wood until, well, I was dumb and I forgot to check my hook, and my swim bait was pulled down to about like that. It got stuck in the wood and I lost it. But when you're fishing wood, not fishing with wood. When you're fishing with weedless swim baits, with A-rigs usually kind of like lean into them, but with weedless ones you actually have to set the hook on them. So you can actually like drive. When I'm fishing with, I don't just text pose it. I stinking insert this thing inside of it. So like it's like pretty much just disappears inside. Like you can fish on it and it won't come out. So whenever you slap the hook, you want to slap the hook like it ain't nobody's business, son. So yeah, that's kind of that's I mean, it's kind of secret. Like kind of keep it hush hush because this is a killer. This rig, this setup, weedless swim bait on Lake Fork. I'm just saying, it's caught multiple double digits. And again, this bait has caught multiple double digits. I know TRF, Tyler's Real Fishing, shout out to my boy. He actually caught a 14-pounder. And you know, Ben Milliken's got a bunch of double digits on this one. Hopefully I can get double digit on this one this year. Because I'm hoping that I could catch one. Because I kind of made a challenge last year. Like I'm catching a bass from between 1 and 10 pounds. And I've caught all of them. I've caught 1 through 9 so far. Our PB is 9 pounds 3 ounces, 9 point something 3. But it's about 9.3ish, about 9 ounces, 9 pounds 3 ounces. I've completed all of it up to this point. And next time we go to the lake, son, we are throwing and we are trying to catch big baits, big bass, not big baits. We are throwing big baits like this, and maybe one of these, throwing metal, blade baits, and random baits that I found that look cool, glide baits. We are trying to catch my PB next time we go to the lake. So stay tuned for that video. But that comes to an end on the A-rig video of the A-rig video that I have. And if you think the A-rig's cheating, technically it is, because it's illegal in most tournaments. But if you think it's cheating and you never tried it before, I challenge you to go try it on a day when you ain't catching squat. You tie this thing on, I bet you bottom dollar if you throw it around bass, they'll come and find it. Because this thing has a lot of drawing power. It can catch big fish, and it can also catch multiple fish at one time. Okay, yeah, it can catch multiple fish at one time. Well, hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get to 200 subs. At 200 subs, we're gonna have a banger video coming out. Probably going to the lake, the pond, something like that. But, well, Merry Christmas to all y'all watching this video, and hope y'all have a good holidays. And peace out. Catch a big one. Peace.